Hello, Sally Ann here, PT Skills. This bite-sized video is on the skeletal system and it's going to be on anatomical movements. So I might ask you to get up and about with this one. Probably not a good idea to listen whilst you're driving. Might not be safe. Yeah, so grab your notebook and pen to make some notes, and if you can get up. So I find like doing the actual movements and actions will help you recall what they are. So I'm going to share my screen first so I can just show you the actual movements. Okay, so anatomical movements, and we are going to go over, my picture is covering this, not sure you'll be able to see them all. So flexion, extension, adduction, abduction, rotation, circumduction, pronation, supination. There's so many here. There's 20 movements we're going to go through. I'm not going to list them all out. So if you want to maybe screenshot this grid, and then we'll use that at the end. You will have a task. So screenshot that, and we are going to go through all these right now. So I'm going to stop that share. And we're going to go to my webcam, and I am going to get up and ready. So I've cleared a little bit of space, so hopefully you can see me okay. And I've got my flip chart in front of me, so I've got all my moves written down, so we won't miss any. So as I say, there's 20 actions that we're going to go through. So first, some of them are going to be in pairs. So flexion and extension. So flexion is decreasing the angle at a joint. So we flex at our elbow, so I'm decreasing this angle. So when I, for example, do a bicep curl, that is flexion, decreasing an angle at a joint. Yeah, same with my knee. If I bring my heel up to my bottom, it's knee flexion, decreasing an angle at a joint. I can flex my spine, so I can forward flex here, decreasing the little angles in between my vertebrae, so I can forward flex as well. So we've got flexion. Extension is increasing the angle at a joint. So if I brought my elbow into flexion, as I go down, that is extension. So it's elbow extension. And again with the leg, it's in flexion here. So extension, increasing the angle at the joint. Flexing my spine, extension. So flexion, extension. Okay, moving on, adduction and abduction. So when we're looking at adduction and abduction, we're looking at the midline of the body. So adduction is bringing towards the midline of the body, and abduction is taking away. So think adding and taking away. So my leg can adduct. So midline of my body is that line right down the center. So if I'm bringing my leg across, that is adducting, bringing it towards the midline. And abduction is taking it away. Yeah. So same with my arm. Abduct my arm, adduct my arm. So taking it away, bringing it towards. So adduction towards the midline, adduction away. Okay. Next, pronation and supination, which is going to happen in my forearm here. So pronation, palms down. So I'm just rotating inwards, palms down. Supination, palms up. So pronation, supination. Good. And then we've got inversion and eversion. So I'm going to come to my feet a little bit there. So inversion is rolling the soles of my feet towards, so rolling out onto the outside and rolling the soles of my feet to face one another. That's inversion. And eversion is I find this one hard to do, is rolling inwardly, and so the outside of my soles come up. So inversion and eversion. So inversion, rolling in that way, eversion outwards, in, out. Yeah. Okay, horizontal flexion and extension. So we can do this at the shoulders. So we know flexion is decreasing the angle at the joint, and extension is increasing the angle at the joint. So if I bring my arms out, this is horizontal flexion of the shoulder joint here, because my arms are horizontal, horizontal flexion, horizontal extension. So movements that might use this would be press ups, for example, horizontal flexion and extension. Yeah, good. Elevation and depression. It's going to happen within the scapula. So elevation is that shrugging the shoulders. So maybe shoulder shrugs is an elevation. And depression is when we're drawing the shoulder blades back down. So think elevator, lifting up, elevate, and depression. So we're low when we're depressed, aren't we? So think elevate and depress with the shoulders. Okay, back down to the ankles, plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. So plantar flexion, if we look at the ankle, is pointing. So with the toes pointed down, so up, say we're maybe doing a calf raise, the up phase is plantar flexion. And dorsiflexion is when we're bringing the toes towards the shin. So digging. So I think pointing and digging, yeah? So plantar flexion is pointing, dorsiflexion is that digging action, so where we're bringing the toes up towards the shin. We've got rotation. So rotation, let's look. We can rotate here. This is a rotation. So we're rotating inwards. So this is internal rotation, external rotation. Yeah, we can rotate the leg. So we can internally rotate, externally rotate that femur. We can rotate the neck by looking left, looking right. Okay, so we've got all those rotational movements. Circumduction is where we're going through pretty much all of those flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, rotation. So circumduction will happen at your ball and socket joint, where we can almost draw a nice big circle. For example, with the arm, we can take the hip round all those flexion, extension, abduction, adduction as well. Okay, so that's circumduction. Protraction and retraction will happen again at the scapula, at those shoulder blades. So think of protraction is where we're taking it away. So when we went into some of these postures, we're protracting. So we're drawing the shoulder blades away from each other. And then retraction, yeah, so retraction is where we're pulling it back. So we're pulling the shoulder blades back together. So protraction, yeah, retraction, drawing the shoulder blades back. Yeah, and then hyperextension. So hyperextension is taking it beyond our normal range. So if we take the spine, for example, if I'm coming into flexion and then I come into extension back to neutral, hyperextension is taking it beyond that neutral position. So we can hyperextend, like some people hyperextend through knees, don't they? Knees and elbows if they're really, really mobile and flexible. Yeah, so hyperextension is taking it into extension and beyond the normal range of posture. And then we've got lateral flexion. So that would happen at the spine. So if we think, if we're doing something side bend, we're laterally flexing through the spine there. Lateral flexion. So that is a quick whistle stop tour of your 20 movements there. I'm going to come back to my laptop. Bear with me a moment. Back to my face and back to screen share. You pressed end by accident then. That would be a disaster. Okay. So I'm going to give you 3 exercises: a body weight squat, a shoulder press, and a push up or press up. And I want you to list what movements are happening within each joint involved in the following exercises. So a body weight squat, shoulder press, and a press up. So look at all the joints moving and what movements are happening. Is it flexion? Is it extension? Is it horizontal flexion, extension? So that's a little task I want you to do, so you can start to use those terms and analyze them. You might also want to list them out as well, put a little description next to them so that you've got something reference. I usually find writing things out as well really helps with you to recall them. Anyway, let's see any works of art below. Any questions, do shout out. Have a good day, and I shall speak to you soon.